Hi, thank you so much for clicking on my video. My name is Grace and I'm gonna show you how I style my curly hair. I know this might seem like a really long and complicated process, but my goal with this is just to get curls that are really well defined and most importantly that will last a really long time. I really only do this routine once a week or so and they'll last for maybe 4 to 5 days depending on how careful I am. So without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Okay, I just got done at the gym, which means we're gonna be starting on very dirty hair. But before I go and shower, I just wanted to talk about some of the stuff that I use before the shower and then what I use to shampoo and condition. So this is the first thing. This is the Mielle Rosemary Mint Scalp and Hair Strengthening Oil. I like this as a growth treatment, but also just before either the gym or before the shower, just massage it in and it's kind of like a pre-shampoo treatment. I'll also use this stuff on my ends sometimes if they're feeling a little bit dry. I'll either do it a couple hours before I shower or I'll leave it in overnight. And then as for shampoo and conditioner, I use Innersense. I know these are really expensive, but I think it's worth it just because all their products are organic, paraben-free, sulfate-free. They use really clean ingredients. They smell amazing. They have that really high quality salon smell. And also the whole company is plastic and carbon neutral, which is cool. So I love these. I've been using them for probably upwards of a year. So if you're willing to splurge or you have the money, I would recommend these. But if not, I would just say get a shampoo and conditioner that's specifically made for curly hair. Okay, so now that that is all out of the way, I will go shower and then I will come back and we will style our curls. Okay, so I am fresh out of the shower with soaking wet hair, as you can see. You want to style on like really wet hair. So I would recommend not drying it at all after you get out of the shower. So the products that I use to style are a leave-in conditioner, a heat protectant, and a gel. And before I go into which ones I use, I just wanted to put a quick disclaimer. I know some of these products are on the pricier end, but you do not need to buy super expensive products to get a good result. I would just say aim for those 3 products, whatever price range you're comfortable with, and you'll get a pretty good result. I think it's much more about how you use the products versus which products you're using. So just a quick disclaimer. Okay, so getting started with styling. This is the leave-in conditioner that I use. It's the LUS, Love Your Curls all-in-one styler. This stuff is great. I like that it's not too thick, but it's also not that like watery consistency. It's just kind of right in the middle. I've been using this stuff for a really long time. I stopped using it for a while and then I came back to it. So I really recommend this stuff if you're looking for a good leave-in. Next, I use the Curlsmith Miracle Shield. So this is just basically a heat protectant, but I also feel like it does provide a little bit of hold. So again, Curlsmith can do no wrong. This is great. And then this is relatively new to my routine. This is the gel I use. It's the Ouidad Advanced Climate Control Heat and Humidity Gel. This stuff is amazing. I just went up to San Francisco for New Year's and it's really like wet and rainy up there. And this did the trick. My curls held almost the entire trip. So this stuff is great. Again, it is a little expensive, but great product. And then last but not least, we have the Denman brush. I love this thing. I've had it forever. It's kind of gross. I think this is just like the best styling brush there is. I love that you can take out the rows of bristles. I have like 3 or 4 rows out of mine right now. And I love that when you turn it, it kind of has the smooth edge so you can like curl it. I'll show you, but I love this thing. I would highly recommend one of these if you're gonna start doing your curls. Okay, sorry, this is the last thing. This is just a spray bottle full of warm water. Like I said, you wanna style on really wet hair, so I'll like re-wet the sections as I go. And then I pick warm water because I just feel like the products kind of soak in better when my hair is warm. So just have one of these on hand for when we start styling. Okay, so the first thing that I do when I'm gonna start styling is sectioning off the bottom section. So I go right here at kind of the top of my ears and just go back. It doesn't have to be perfect. And section off the bottom and just clip the top away for now. Like this. So now we just have this bottom section out. I'm gonna re-wet it a little bit just because it dried in the time that I was talking. And then I detangle in the shower with a wet brush, but just, brush the water through. And then take the leave-in conditioner, whatever one you have. I usually do like 3 pumps of it, so like about that much. Warm it up in your hands, and then I just kind of rake it through and then do the like prayer hands thing. I like to apply the products on the individual sections rather than all at once, just because I feel like when I do it all at once, I don't get everything evenly. So that's the idea there. So once you've raked that all through, then I'm gonna take the Curlsmith heat protectant. This says to put the leave-in conditioner on first and then spray this and then do the rest of your product, so that's what I do. But if you're using a different heat protectant, you can just follow whatever directions that says. So, this is a new one. I just kind of coat the hair with it. Make sure you get the ends, because those are what'll break. And then comb that through. And then lastly, the gel. I'm like pretty generous with the gel, but this is a pretty small section, so about that much. I don't know if you can see that. And same thing, just kind of rake it through and then do the praying hands thing. Okay, so now that the products are all layered in, I'm gonna start taking vertical sections all the way around my head. The reason I do vertical and not horizontal is because I feel like with horizontal, the hair just kind of lays flat on my head, whereas I want more of like a stacking effect because that's gonna give more volume. So I usually just take a big chunk like this and use my finger to section out, I would say about 1 inch or so. And then once you have that section, take the Denman brush and sort of anchor it at the bottom of the hair. And when you brush it, you wanna kind of keep tension on it. You can use your thumb kind of in the back to keep tension, not too much, but keep some tension on it and sort of spin the brush almost like you're curling ribbon. And then you're gonna drop it and sort of shake it out. So like I said, anchor it, keep the tension, kind of turn the brush, let it fall, and then shake it out with your finger. And then if you see any pieces that are a little bit frayed, you can just finger curl it like that. And then the final step is to scrunch each section. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this all the way around, just continuing to take 1 inch sections until I get to this side. And then I will come back and we'll do the second layer. Okay, so I've styled the whole bottom section now. And then the very last step that I like to do before moving to the next section is take a little bit more gel in your hands and just give it one more scrunch. Here, I'll stand up a little so you can see it. Just give it one more scrunch and that'll really help it hold. When you hear that noise, that like squelching noise, that means you did it right, because your hair should be really wet when you style, like I said. So yeah, just give it one last scrunch with the gel and then we will move on to the next section. So the way that I section out my middle section is kind of by taking my top section and letting the rest that falls out be the middle section. So I'll show you what I mean. Take out the rest of your hair and the top section, you're gonna wanna make it sort of like a mohawk. So I just take kind of like my bang section back. I'll just use a comb, whatever you have on hand, and just kind of carve out a mohawk section on the top of your head and let the rest fall out. And same thing on the other side. Yeah, just kind of section out the mohawk and let the rest fall out. And then I just clip this up. I know it looks dumb. Clip this up, and then this section that just kind of fell out will be the middle section, if that makes sense. So at this point, I've just clipped away the top section and then I separated the middle section in the back and clipped one side off for later. So now we're gonna take the one side. I'm gonna re-wet mine a little bit because it has dried out in the time that I've been talking. So just re-wet it and then take the Denman brush and comb it through. And then we're gonna do the same product layering that we did on the very bottom, just taking the leave-in conditioner, heat protectant, and then the gel. So I will go ahead and do that to this side. So now I have all those products on this side of my head. And then I usually work from back to front. So we're gonna start with the first back section. Again, same thing, just taking about a 1 inch section, anchoring the Denman brush at the bottom. Well, first maybe detangle. Anchoring it at the bottom, keeping that tension on it and sort of spinning the brush like you're curling ribbon. and then let it fall and shake it out with your fingers, and then you can go ahead and drop it. So I'll show you one more time on this side. Like I said, 1 inch section, brush it out, anchor it at the bottom, brush out, oops, missed a piece. Brush out, keep the tension, curl it, let it drop, and then shake it out like that. And then, like I said at the beginning, just go ahead and give it a scrunch. So I'm just gonna do that all the way until I get to the front, and then repeat the exact same thing on the other side. So now you can see I've styled all the way to the front, and then I just took a little bit more gel on my hands, and I'm just gonna give it a little bit more of a scrunch to lock it in. And then now I'm just gonna do the exact same thing to the other side. Okay, so now I've done this whole second half. Like before, I'm just gonna take a little bit more gel in my hands and scrunch this side to give it some extra hold. And now we can move on to the final section. So I'm just taking this top section now and re-wetting it a little bit. And then once you've done that, just go through and detangle. And then once you've done that, we're gonna take those same 3 products and just layer them in. So start with the leave-in conditioner. I'd say for the top section, you wanna use a little bit less. This is probably maybe about 3 pumps. I think I used like 3 for the bottom, 4 for each middle section, and then 3 on the top. So warm it up in your hands, and then for the top section, really just focus it on the ends because you don't want your roots to be weighed down by all that product. Then I'm just taking some of the heat protectant. This, since it's thinner, I can kind of go a little bit more on the roots. And then now you're gonna go in with some of the gel. So for that, I know it's clear so you can't see that well, but about that much. Warm it up. And then again, just try to focus most of the product on the ends. So for this top layer, I kind of take sections across like this. So same as before, just section off a piece in the back. Again, I like to work back to front with this. Clip off the rest of it. And then same as all the other sections, I just brush it through a couple times, anchor the Denman brush at the bottom, and pull it through while you're kind of spinning the brush like this, and then let it drop and shake it out to kind of get the curls going. So I'm just gonna go through and do that all the way until about halfway, I would say, halfway towards the front of my head. And then I'll show you I do a little bit of a different technique for the front. So now I've gotten about halfway through that top section, and then I just parted my hair sort of where it naturally falls like this. And what I do for the front is kind of take it each side at a time. So again, taking these little sections, I will take the Denman brush, and for some reason I feel like on the top, my hair likes to be curled forward rather than curled backward like this. So I start to curl it forward like this. And if it clumps together, that's great. But in situations where it doesn't, I feel like the top just sometimes is a little bit messier and it needs a little bit more help. I like to finger roll it. So there are a bunch of tutorials for this online, but the way that I do it is kind of put my finger about halfway down and then take this bottom finger and just start rolling it like this until I get down to the root, and then you can let it down like this and it creates a nice, what is that called? Nice corkscrew, nice spiral. So that's kind of how I style the top, just because I feel like it needs a little bit more help to stay defined. So I'll just go taking like kind of back and forth sections, curling it towards the front and letting it fall. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and then I will show you the bangs, and then we're pretty much done. So I'll be back. So now I've styled all the rest of the top section, and all I have left to do are the bangs. So I'm gonna show you how I do those. It's basically the same method as the second half of the top section. So I just brush it through. The bangs I pretty much always finger roll because I feel like the bangs just really need that definition. So like I said, I kind of put my finger at the middle, then take this bottom finger and roll it all the way down to the root, and then let it go and let it kind of fall out. And there we go. And then I'll go ahead and do the other side on camera as well. So just brush it through, finger roll it, and let it fall. Sometimes it likes to stick in these little roll shapes. Okay, so now that we've done the bangs, we're basically done with the wet styling part of this. The only thing that I like to do, as I've been doing with every section, is take a little bit more gel and scrunch through the top, which we just styled. Okay, so now the wet styling part is officially done. The only other optional step that I sometimes do is I take a microfiber towel and I kind of lean over so that the curls are hanging off of my head, and just take some very gentle scrunches with the microfiber towel. Just try to be super gentle while you're doing this. It's just to get a little bit of the extra water out. You're not trying to dry your hair off. So after all of that, you should be left with some really nice, defined, but obviously still very wet curls. So the next step would be to dry it. You can just wait and air dry it, that's totally fine. Or you can diffuse it, which is what I prefer to do. I prefer diffusing just because it goes faster and I feel like it gives me a little bit more volume. But I think I'm gonna save my diffusing technique for a different video just because I don't want this one to be super long. If you are gonna diffuse, I would say wait about 30 minutes in between wet styling and starting to diffuse, because it gives time for that gel cast to form. It's when your hair gets a little bit crunchy, and I know it's a gross feeling, but it's really gonna prevent frizz when you're diffusing. So wait that 30 minutes, and then regardless of whether you are air drying or you're diffusing, don't touch your hair. Just leave it alone. Don't scrunch it anymore. Don't run your fingers through it. Just let it be until it's dry, whether you're air drying or diffusing. I promise you will thank me later. So I'm gonna go diffuse, and then I will come back to show you how I scrunch out that gel cast and add a little bit more volume at the end. So I'm back from diffusing, and this is what it's looking like so far. It's actually pretty close to 100% dry at this point. The gel cast is just giving it that kind of wet look. So now we're just gonna go through and scrunch out the gel cast. And for that, I'm gonna use this BioSilk Silk Therapy Serum. This stuff is amazing. This is one of like my holy grail products. I'll never stop buying it. I like it for this purpose, like scrunching out gel casts, but also I always put it in my hair before I'm gonna go to sleep. And it almost like soaks into the hair and makes it softer. It's just an amazing product. So I would highly, highly recommend this. So I'm just gonna take a little bit of this stuff in my hands. A little goes a long way with this, so you don't have to use a lot. Just gonna warm it up. And wait till your hair is 100% dry to do this. You don't wanna have any moisture left in your hair. So then I just kind of lean over and just very gently sort of scrunch the areas that feel a little crunchy still. Diffusing will break up some of the cast, but there's still gonna be some areas that need to be broken up. So just going around really gently and scrunching out the cast. And then the final step is to take a comb like this and go right on the roots and just kind of shake it all out. So I'm just kind of inserting it and then moving it up and down. Don't go too crazy, especially on wash day, because your curls are just kind of delicate. So that's pretty much it as far as wash day goes. But for me, I feel like sleeping on the curls does make a really big difference in how they look. So I'm gonna sleep on them tonight and then report back tomorrow with like the final result. So to sleep, I usually put my hair up in a high ponytail on top of my head and then put a silk cap over it. I can go into more detail on that later. But yeah, I'm gonna sleep on them tonight, put some of this stuff in, and then I will report back tomorrow. So I'm back, it's the next day, and this is how it's looking. I just took it down from the silk cap this morning and then fluffed it out with my fingers and the comb. But that pretty much wraps up the tutorial. If you have any questions, you're welcome to put them down in the comments, or you can always shoot me an Instagram DM. To keep these nice, I would just say play with them as little as possible. I know it's tempting, and make sure you're sleeping with that silk cap every night because that will really preserve them. I hope that you found at least some part of this helpful, maybe a new trick or a new product to try out. And if you try this out, I really want to see it. So send me a photo on Instagram if you do. But that is going to do it for me. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.